Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 2024 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting at the City of Middletown. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start this evening with roll call. We'll start with Keith. Here. Tracy. Here. Mark.
Here.
Myself. And Rich Krogan's our counsel. Member Wendy Rodriguez is absent this evening. And Sixto is from Department of Public Works, Code Enforcement. All right. Next item. We have to do a little bit of housekeeping, which would be review and approval of the September minutes. Now, for the September meeting, our members present were Mark Woody, Keith Halleck, and myself. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Can I get a motion from either Mark or Keith?
I make a motion.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. We'll move along to the October minutes. I'd like a motion to approve the October minutes. Motion by Tracy, second by
I make that.
Mark. All in favor? Signal. Aye. The ayes have it. All right. Now we'll move ahead to the one and only item on the agenda. This is a preliminary application to the Zoning Board of Appeals for 97 North Street in the City of Middletown. I'd like to invite the applicant up to give a brief overview of your application.
Just before you begin, I'm sorry. For the board's edification, it's preliminary only, meaning we're not taking a vote on it tonight. The applicant is introducing it to the board. The board can ask any questions. It's not open for the public.
Yes. Good evening, board. Timothy Kramer, Kramer, Sobo and Sobo, for the applicant. I've been asked to fill in on this. I believe this is the first appearance, or it may be the second. I think there was an application or some discussion about a variance and decided not to go with the variance application.
This is the first time it's appeared before us.
Oh, okay. All right. So, let's get my notes then. We represent Karina Mateo, is the CEO and the principal of El Punto nightclub, which is located at 97 North Street in Middletown, New York. The application is that her place of business is required to close at 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. That's pursuant to section 475-21.1 of the city's zoning code. The applicant is seeking to allow her business to stay open till 4 a.m. As are other businesses in the area. It seems that all the other businesses have been grandfathered in into that allowance. As a result of her having to close her business at 2 a.m., around 1:30, everyone starts to leave and go to the other places, causing her, pretty substantial loss in income each weekend. That being the case, her request is to allow her business to stay open until 4 a.m. on the weekends.
So just for clarification, are you seeking a use variance or an interpretation?
At this time, I think our route would be I was told this is on for an interpretation. I was under the impression that there was some discussion about a variance request prior, which was, I guess it wasn't denied if it was, I believe it was never actually formally made, I guess.
Well, the application has both checked, a use variance and an interpretation.
Okay.
So you're welcome to proceed with both. We'll just handle each one
Sure.
accordingly.
Sure. So I guess the first would be the interpretation.
Why don't we start with the use, because
Sure.
it might be a little bit easier. So for the board, a use variance is a special permission granted by the local zoning board that allows a property owner to use their property in a way that is not permitted by the current zoning regulations. So the argument here is that currently they're only allowed to be open to 2, while other businesses are allowed to be open to 4. So that's her use variance position. The applicant has submitted an affirmation of truth statement, which I'm not too sure it's the use variance, really. And the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, provided that lack of return is substantial, as demonstrated by competent financial evidence. I believe the applicant submitted a few items of receipts. That would not constitute enough competent financial. There would need to be substantially more. With respect to the second part of it, and on a use variance, it's not a weighing of one factor versus another. The applicant has to meet each and every one of these items. So if you find that they don't meet one of those, the application is denied. They must meet all 4 criterion. Unlike an area variance where it's a balancing between them. So the alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood. If you would like to address that issue.
Sure, I think it's unique in the fact that the other establishments in the area are open till 4:00 a.m. Her having to close at 2 a.m. is unique to this specific location, which is the cause of for lost revenue from those hours each weekend.
Item C, the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
Right. The essential character will not be altered. There's other establishments right in the area. The business is already running until 2 a.m. This would just extend it by 2 hours, 2 days per week.
And the last item is the alleged hardship has not been self-created.
So on this one, she opened up her business. She's running her business. She didn't create the hardship. She didn't create that she has to close at 2:00. That's in the zoning code. So she has not created this upon herself.
With respect to that last item, the alleged hardship has not been self-created. She's asking to be open till 4, where the code is 2. I have her approval that was from November 2nd of 2022. And in that approval, it specifically states, and I quote, "Hours of operation will conform to DMU zoning regulations and restrictions." So it was in her approval that she would have to comply with those hours. So where is the self-created hardship? Or where is the lack of it?
Those were the hours that are in the code. And
Yes.
she just, she didn't create the code. She's stuck with it.
Exactly.
Right.
So the board have any questions that they'd like to ask the applicant?
Quick question, you said establishments, plural, which ones?
Let's see. Just give me 1 second so I can find the names of them. I believe they were submitted. Caborcas Mexican Restaurant is located directly across the street. Nelson's Tavern. Those are the two that I have.
Are you aware of the amount of police activity that's happened at that bar at 2 o'clock in the morning and before, as far as fights, urinating on the street? The police have been called there many, many times. And that's just when they're closing at 2. I can't imagine it's going to get much better if they're open till 4.
The understanding I have behind the changes in regulations that were in place when your client started the business is that in order to foster more residential tenants in the downtown area of Middletown, by rolling back from 4 a.m. to 2 a.m., you want an environment that's more conducive to residents getting a decent night's sleep. So that's part of the reasoning and methodology for having that regulation in place. And since a lot of those changes have been made, the downtown has seen substantial rebirth. And that's characteristic that is important to many in our community.
Anybody else have any comments or questions they'd like to ask?
Your client's establishment, the liquor license that they have, is that for just wine and beer, or is that for liquor?
It's a full liquor license.
Okay.
No liquor.
All right. The
Question?
records, I have something. The records I was able to access online through the State Liquor Authority reflected wine and beer only for that establishment. Would you be able to clarify that for us?
If we do come back for the actual hearing, I'll have that clarification for you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Racine?
I'm just wondering about that as well, because directly across from that is a church, and you can't serve alcohol other than beer and wine within that parameter of the church, so that really does need to be clarified.
Okay, yeah, I could have the wrong information in front of me.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Sir, how long have El Punto, is it the same El Punto or by relation or extension of the one in Ellenville? You know if it's the same owner or, because I know they haven't been there that long in Middletown. So El Punto is the 177 South Main Street. I wonder if it's the same owner. Do you know?
I do not know the answer to that. This one did open, yeah, pretty recently in 2023, but I do not know.
Okay,
I can find that. If we come back, I can find that information out as well.
okay, just as a matter of reference.
It was in, I'm sorry, Ellenville? Is that what you said?
Ellenville, 177 South Main.
Okay. And our client could not be here tonight. She's out of the country. Otherwise, she'd be here and be able to assist with some of these questions.
Mr. Kramer, if I may.
Sure.
Sorry. In the alleged hardship has not been self-created. According to the statement provided, it says the hardship was not self-created as I performed my due diligence in researching the community's void. Do you know if she researched the DMU zone and the hours?
I can't speak for her on that.
Okay. Any other questions by the board?
None at this time.
Okay, moving to the interpretation. So what's your client's position with respect to the interpretation?
I think they were, we're just looking for an interpretation to see if this applies to the location. I think it's a pretty quick, probably interpretation.
Yeah. I think the hours are clear, the DMU zone states them. Your client opened the property after DMU was enacted. So the hours were clearly stated. So I think you'd have a hard time with the interpretation.
Agreed.
Do you have any other questions for us? Does the board have any?
I have no questions. I can
Okay.
tell you that I will go back to the handling attorney on this and go over this, and, not sure that we'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
If that's the case, then you would need to withdraw the application.
Right, and we each do that by a formal letter? Submit a
Yes.
formal letter to
Yeah.
the zoning board?
Yes, please. Thank you.
And Martina, what's the in-by date for December?
Okay,
Okay.
by the first Friday in December.
Thank you, Martina. All right. I see no further business before the board for this evening. So I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn. Made by Keith, second by Tracy. All in favor? Aye. Thank you for attending, and thank you for coming to the applicant.
Thank you.